This time I would like to call the meeting to order. It's 9:04. Today we're going to have a presentation of the 2025-26 budget revenue expenses. 25-26 budget, the revenues, expenditures, reserve target, bonds, and refinancing debt, the tax rate, and insurance and benefits will all be presented to us, and we should all have a copy of it.
I literally just got everything. So the computer is loading. I have to log in and all of that. So just give me a second.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, everybody can just follow along.
All right, so good morning. Fidelis Malambeka, interim CFO. So what we'll be doing this morning, for one, we have provided this proposed summary budget for FY25-26, And in my presentation, I am going to capture an overview of most of the information that's contained in this booklet. After I conclude the presentation, we'll be happy to take any specific questions related to the presentation or the information in the booklet. So if you follow along, the order of presentation as outlined, we'll be reviewing the revenues and expenditures. Then we're going to the debt overview, tax assessment and millage, and then we'll take questions. So on that first page that captures the projected revenues, and this is for all the funds. General fund, we are projecting about $147.5 million. And I do have an asterisk on that number to note that some of the revenue that's captured in there does include what is considered outside funds, right? So general fund is a fund one, but the way the revenues are captured in this report, it does include some of the revenues from what is Fund 2 and Fund 3 managed by JPD, also Fund 4, which is a technology fund. So that revenue is captured in that line. Then with our special revenues, we are projecting $60.3 million, debt service at $21.9 million, capital projects at 33.4. Then the enterprise projecting $53 million with a total projection of $316 million for FY 25-26. Then the next page does break down the revenue lines that are captured under what we are referring to as a general fund. And also it is a comparison between FY 25 and FY 26. The percentage there represents the proportion to that total total amount, right? So in FY 26, for instance, when you look at general property tax revenue at $68.5 million, that is 46.5% of the $147 million. Then fines and forfeitures at $1.6 million. Intergovernmental, federal, projecting $59,000. Intergovernmental state, we're projecting $36.2. Intergovernmental local, we're projecting $673. Licenses and permits, we're projecting $1.9. Admissions, fees, and rentals, we're projecting $5.4. Interest earned on investments, $387. Other revenues, $13.7. Then we have operating transfers at $6.3 and applied fund balance at $12.6 million. That is for FY 26. And then the next page is an illustration in a pie chart just to show the proportions of the revenue sources. As you can see, general property tax makes up the significant portion of our revenues, which is roughly 47%. Then, of course, intergovernmental state is our second largest. And in that, we capture sales tax in that category as well. So between general property taxes and sales tax, those are the most significant revenue sources for our general fund. And when you try to look at just the health of an organization or entity, ideally, you would like to see more diversification, but for municipalities, this is quite common. Most of revenues are derived from property taxes as well as sales tax. Okay. So the next slide is the expenditure budget by department. And it does compare FY25 to FY26. So Department of Administration and Finance, the budget there is 6.1. Human and Cultural Services, 4.8. Fire Department, 25.9. Jackson Police Department, 38.7. Public Works, 93. And by the way, this is not only general fund budget, this is including all funds that are managed by the department. I will have a separate slide that does separate the general fund operational budget versus all the other ancillary funds that are contained within that particular department. In general government, it's $40.3 million. And I will note with general government, right, this includes all operations by the city council, the clerks, legal department, transfers for debt service all sits within general government. The municipal clerk, 784, constituent services, 1.2, planning and development, 68.3, human resources, 1.1, information technology, 7.6, and then parks and recreation at $9.6 million, which brings the total proposed expenditure budget for departments to $298 million. And of course, this does not include other expenses. We do have other funds such as the insurance fund, workers' compensation, unemployment fund, right? That is not included in those numbers that you see as total. And then the next slide again is just an illustration in a pie chart to show the proportions of what makes up the total expenditure by department. And as you can see, Public Works makes up 31% of the entire pie chart. Planning and Development, 23%. Police Department, 13%. General Government, 14%. Fire Department, 9%. And then you have the smaller percentages for the other departments. And the next slide captures the expenditure budget by category, right? So again, it's a comparison of 25 and 26, but I'll highlight FY26 proposed budget. Personal services is $97.1 million. And when we say personal services, that includes salaries plus benefits. And benefits being PERS, obviously you have, Social Security, FICA, benefits, and also health insurance. And it is important for us to understand that our employer value proposition is that we have a remarkable benefits package. When you look at the insurance, health insurance, the city covers 100% of the employee portion, and we also cover 85% of the cost outside of single coverage. So +1 employee plus children and family, the city covers 85%. Over a couple of years ago, I did bring this to the attention of the city council that we were not right-sized in terms of how we were assessing our insurance cost for employees. And so we did pass on a small portion of the cost to employees for anything they carry outside of single coverage, from what was about 95% to 85%. The cost to the city is approximately $15 million for health insurance. And when I say the value proposition, so our plan, and of course it's now tiered, but it is a $400 deductible, right? The highest tier. $400 deductible, which is unheard of in today's environment. And we cover 100%, right, of that employee cost. But for family, the cost to the city is approximately $18,000 annually, right? So if you have an employee that signs up for family coverage, the city is putting in about $18,000. What is important about that is, and you can look around, where there's competition, private or public sector, you don't see that, right? You don't see employers cover such a significant portion. So where an employee might leave the city to make $1 more elsewhere, they're not factoring in the cost, right, of about $18,000. So that's very important to note. And I've asked our HR department to continue to highlight that because oftentimes it is missed. And also the way we would capture it, because it does not show up on the W-2, right? So the employee really does not fully appreciate that value. So wanted to highlight that. Moving on to supplies and materials, projected budget there is at $9.2 million. Other services and charges at 62.2. Capital outlay at 47.3. Debt service 2.8. Operating transfers 21.9. Grants, contributions, and contingencies at 57.8, which makes up the $298 million. And again, the next slide is an illustration in a pie chart to show the proportions that those particular categories occupy within the chart. Okay. So this next slide, Public Works, and I did speak to this a little while ago, just to segment the budget for Public Works. The general fund budget for Public Works is approximately $16.6 million. But then outside of that, they have a number of funds that are managed within Public Works. The top one, which is Fund 173, that is our 1% sales tax. We collect approximately $16.6 million. And of course, the next one, which is Fund 157, that was a bond fund that was issued with the pledge of the 1% sales tax revenues. So there's debt service that we cover out of that $16.6 million to a tune of about $4.1 million. And so what's left is what the commission obligates funds for infrastructure projects within the city. Then capital improvement fund budget, approximately $16.9 million. Our sanitation budget is about $16.1 million. Modernization is about $10.6 million is what we are now averaging. And also there, I did capture the $40 million infrastructure bond that was discussed in yesterday's meeting. And as bond counsel indicated, we are trying to get closed by the end of September. So those are the major funds that are managed by Public Works. And the next one is planning and development. Their general fund budget is about approximately $12.5 million, but they manage a number of grants. So one being CDBG with an approximate budget of about 9.9. That is a combination of the annual allocation as well as prior year allocations that have not been spent yet. This year, we are looking to use a portion of that to retire the Section 108 loan. And then we do have home, and home also has the what they call home ARP, American Rescue Plan. The combination for that fund is about $7.5 million. ESG, which is an annual allocation there of about $232. HAPWA, about $3.7 million. And then the transportation fund, about 20.7. So that does include some of their fund balances as well as the FTA allocations that they receive. And so that's what makes up the planning and development total budget. So the next slide, this captures the bonds that are issued by the city. We have the general obligation bonds. So we have 5, including a GO note, the 2024.
Will you say whatever the acronym is instead of just saying GO?
General obligation bonds.
On
Yes.
the last slide. ma'am.
On the last slide,
Yeah. Yes, every time, but the last slide you said ESG and HOPWA and just. if you
Right,
don't
sure,
mind, kind of
sure. So CDBG, that's a community development block grant, right? Home, that's essentially what they call it. It's a home grant. ESG is emergency services grant. HAPWA is housing of people with AIDS. And I think those are the only acronyms that were covered in the previous slide. Sure. Okay. And then back to the slide for the bonds. So the general obligation bonds, we have approximately $86.9 million in outstanding principal with an annual payment of approximately $10.7 million. And also we do capture when those particular bonds mature. A lot of them, as you can see, refer to refunding. So the city hasn't really issued any bonds that go towards development, other than the most recent one for the planetarium and now the $40 million that we spoke about. but the rest, they had been refinanced to lower the rates, and we continue to make those payments. Then we do have a special obligation bond, which I just talked about through the 1% sales tax commission. And the outstanding principal there is $18 million. The annual payment is 4.16, and that matures in 2030. Then we do have a few tax increment obligation bonds referred to as TIF bonds. We have approximately $6.4 million in outstanding principal, and the annual payment is about $1.1 million. And then the next slide, and that I didn't get an opportunity to actually update this one here. This is the urban renewal bond that was secured on behalf of Jackson Redevelopment Authority. And so where I would need to update is capturing the payment that was made for 25, which would lower what the outstanding principal is. But roughly the annual payment is about $579,000. Then outside of the general obligation bonds, and so by the way, I did not include the water sewer revenue bonds since Jackson Water manages those and is obligated to make payments, so I did not include them in that slide. But this here captures other loans that have been obtained by the city, outside of the general obligation bonds. And what we do have is about 8 MDEQ loans. And I know Jackson Water just, I think, refinanced and restructured. They did send some information, and so we have to reconcile that to see what totally has been restructured. But the way these loans work, we pledge our sales tax, right? And so the state actually intercepts our sales tax. And in return, Jackson Water has to pay the city back for what was intercepted, right? And so they've gone through to restructure and have updated the terms. And so we'll be getting updated numbers, but this is at least what we're able to pull through our system. So the MDEQ annual payments of about $3.5 million annually. We do have 2 Mississippi Development Authority loans. It's about $191,000 outstanding. The annual payment is $109,000. And we do have Mississippi Department of Health. Again, these are part of the state revolving loan funds. We had 2 on our books, and again, I think Jackson Water has restructured, so we'll have to get updated information on those. Then we do have other loans and leases that we carry, such as the energy efficiency loan. Energy efficiency, and a few others that are contained. And we do have a breakdown of what all is contained within that particular category. And then we do have the HUD 108 in the planetarium loans. So the 108 will be retired once we get all the documents in place. We'll use CDBG funds, Community Development Block Grant allocations to retire that particular debt. And oh, by the way, in other loans and leases, that also includes technology loans that we secured for the Tyler Products, Munis, New World Public Safety was all covered under that particular technology loan. And also, I believe a while ago, there was a fire truck that was procured through that particular loan as well. And then this next slide is the preliminary tax millage. The county has indicated that they should have some of the final numbers. Is it the end of this week, Mr. Jackson? The millage final assessments on Thursday. And so this is the preliminaries that we have. This fiscal year, upcoming fiscal year, there would not be any request to increase our taxes. We'll manage with all the revenues that come in. And as you look at the breakdown, I know some questions have often come up for Parks and Recreation as to whether we can increase the millage. So Parks and Recreation is actually at the maximum 2 mills, and so it has been for a while. So I know that question has often come up. And then the bottom part is the historical assessed values. For a while, it was quite stagnant when you look at the assessment values within the city. And as you can see for 2025 assessments, there is, I mean, we haven't received the final, this is preliminary, but what is a significant increase from, $1.29 billion to, 1.3. And what that represents is approximately $3 million more, right, in revenues that would be realized from property taxes, real property and personal property. So that was quite, significant, for those that pay attention to just market values. When you look at historical, we were at 1.284 billion, 1.282, and now we've finally got into 1.3. And so that is the conclusion of this overview, and at this time, I'm prepared to take any questions.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And thank you very much for this presentation. Can you walk me through your forecasting process? Just quickly, we are expecting less in revenues this year. And I'm just curious, what is... Thank you. We're expecting less overall revenue, but more in general property tax. And I was just wondering if you can explain the forecasting model.
Yes. So one, the city's, revenue sources, obviously, again, is a combination of what you refer to as your property taxes, but also we've gotten significant grant funding, right? So, going back just a few years, we had OPER funding, right? For instance, you had like $42 million infusion. And so we make application for a number of other grants. And at times, by the time we put the budget together, we might not have received any award notifications, right? And so as these come in, we make those adjustments. But that's where you see most of, the differences. And also, as you're going from last year, we had that fairly large injection from the settlement, insurance and settlement, about $10 million that came in from Zurich. And so again, that's not, reflected. Yeah.
So if we've applied for, let's say, 10 grants and we haven't found out yet if we're going to be awarded them. We assume for budgetary purposes, $0 for all of them until we get official notification.
Correct.
Okay.
Because what you don't want to do is project the revenue, because we have to present a balanced budget.
Of course.
So when you have the revenue, you have to attach expenditures. And a lot of times, what I often say with departments, they don't pay attention to revenues, right? That's not their concern. They look at a budget. I've been given a budget, right, and I'm spending. But frankly, that budget is reliant upon what comes in on the revenue side. And so that's why you don't want to, project what you've not received in awards, because it's going to be spent, and then you've got to come up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a super conservative approach like that makes sense for a municipality, given our requirement to have a balanced budget. I think for maybe other nonprofits and others, they might estimate 10% chance of getting the grants or whatever, but I think that makes sense. I believe it was on slide 6. You had mentioned this doesn't include workers' comp or other pieces like that. Can we still assume that it's a balanced budget? I mean, this is showing a budget of less than 300.
Right.
So even if you add in the workers' comp, and I believe you mentioned insurance.
Unemployment and
sure.
Yeah, health insurance, yes.
But that will still fall within a balanced budget.
Correct, yes.
Okay. I was very intrigued by the mention on the benefits that we provide, and I think that makes a lot of sense to me. How many of our employees, either as a completely estimate, the raw number or percent, either one, estimate how many of them take on the +1 or engage in the 18,000 that you mentioned?
Yeah, I have to look. I have to look at some reports. So I was trying to do and I did this sometime last year, just trying to get the equivalence, because we're self-insured. I was trying to do the equivalence to being fully insured. And I captured those numbers, but it's been a while since I last looked at them.
Sure. And I think it'd be great to survey our staff, because just some rough back of the calculation envelope type stuff. If we reduced it to say 50%,
right,
then it's possible. Again, I don't want to quote, but like we can give every city employee a $2,000, $3,000 raise and still have extra funds in the bank. And so it might make sense to poll the employees and say, do you still want us to cover 85% of your +1 insurance, or would you want cash in hand and more cash in hand and still represent some savings to the city? So
yeah. So and that's the exercise we did, I think, when I mentioned about 2 years ago, when I brought it to the attention of the city council. So when we moved from the 95 to 85%, we used that difference to give raises, right? And I know the city council at that time did not want to take any drastic measures, right? To, let's say, go 50%. And I think the sentiment was to do it gradually, but that could make sense. So, because not everybody, signs up for, +1 or family coverage, right? So the ones that have single coverage would find it more advantageous, right, to get the raise rather than have access to the +1.
sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna limit our questions on the first round to 3, and then we'll come back down through the 7. Thank you.
We got some questions.
Go ahead, you got 3.
3.
Yes, sir, and we're going back.
Okay.
Thank you.
If you go to page, I think it's the 4th page here. Excuse me, thanks for your presentation, Mr. Malenbecker. It it's got down here on the first column, general fund revenue source, it says interest earned on investments, $387,113. And that is within, $30 of what the expected is for next year. My understanding is that the average balance of all the funds put together, at the bank is like $90 million on an ongoing basis. Money comes in, goes out, whatever. And if we're only earning 387,000, I think there's a real opportunity if we do a RFP with the different banks that serve the city of Jackson. And because the overnight funds rate right now is around, 4%. May go down a little bit in September when the Federal Reserve meets, but it's around 4%. So if you earn just 3.5% on $90 million, it would be around $3.3 million. So if we do an RFP and get a competitive offers from the local banks that serve us, I think we could really pick up an extra several $1 million just by going through that process. That's not a question. That's not a question. That's just a record.
That's still three.
Yeah.
No,
So
so you go to
Councilman
page.
Councilman Foot,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
if I can speak to that.
Sure.
So I know this is actually a projection. At
Yeah.
times, what actually comes in is different,
Yeah.
and it has come in higher. But you are correct, right? So we did put out an RFP, and we made a presentation where a bank was going to be selected, and according to their proposal, we were going to earn a little over $3 million.
Okay.
But that item was tabled by City Council. It was never taken up. So of course,
We gotta do better. If we screwed that up, that's, a lick on us. But it needs to be done regardless of, I'm not trying to point my finger and say somebody should have done it. All I'm trying to say is we need to do it now.
yes.
That's my only.
We really do.
going
And
forward.
so I'll check because we ended up doing another one, and we had to engage a financial consultant, to do the evaluation and so forth. I'm not sure if those are still valid. If not, we need to issue another one.
Sure.
I did
Right.
share with the mayor that he should get some information on his desk about that information. And I don't see the folks in here that I need to ask. But if not, we need to get it out again.
I
But
agree.
you are correct.
Okay.
We're missing out on some substantial earnings.
Okay, on page 6, this is titled, I may have the wrong page number wrong. Let's see, there it is, page 6. FY 26 proposed departmental expenditure budget. And so my question, this is one question, but it concerns the big changes, minus 43% for human and culture services, minus 12% in public works, minus 37% in municipal clerk, plus 15% in planning and development. Can you give us some insight as to why the numbers changed so much dramatically in some of these departments this year proposed versus last year's numbers?
Yes, so, and a lot of it has to do with grants, and some of it, the one-time funding, right? Was realized the previous fiscal year, which is our current fiscal year,
Sure.
that does not carry over. That's, one of them, I know, for human and cultural services. For municipal clerk, so elections, the election year, we actually budgeted more. I think total, they might have gotten about $600,000 more, right?
Because
we don't
of
have
elections.
to, right?
Okay.
So we don't
Okay.
have to do it this
Yeah.
year. Let's
So
see.
like planning and development, it's up by almost $10 million. Is that is there something planned for planning and development that warrants a $9 million increase in their budget? Or did they move some people, personnel around?
No. So that one, I believe, captures some of the FTA grant awards they received.
Okay, for transportation? Okay.
Yes, if you remember, they
Okay.
came forth talking
Okay.
about buses and so forth. I believe that was a most significant portion.
Okay, and this the one more, I think we've got another question. Okay, if we go to page 10, this is the Public Works General Fund budget. And it's got these different things down here. We've got one thing I think is really interesting and would beg for some more additional work on the part of the city council. You've got Fund 173, 1 cent sales tax. Then right next to it is at the top of the bubble at 12 o'clock. And at 2 o'clock, you've got the Fund 157 bond fund. So there's a budget of $6.1 million, but that's debt service related to the budget at 173.
Right.
It's important for the city council to understand the relationships between these different blue dots or
Yeah.
blue circles. And you go on the other side and you've got this is the new $40 million of infrastructure bond. That's the one we just voted on yesterday, correct?
Correct.
And so that is backed by the modernization tax. So the collateral for the modernization fund budget or that's the modernization budget below is the collateral for the bond up there. So it's important for the city council as we go through this exercise to understand the relationships between all these different blue bubbles that they may look like a silo from the top, but they're all connected, and we got to make sure we understand the money flows. Because, to me, I'm excited about the prospects of the $40 million bond issue and how we can take some bold action during our budget process to put that money to work for the citizens. We got to make sure we understand the relationships between those. And then,
So Councilman Food, I
Yeah.
do want to point out for Fund 157, so we do have an escrow.
okay,
Right, because once we issue bonds, there's
Yeah.
requirement, right, to set aside
Sure.
the escrow. So that's what mostly in 157. And I think there might be a few payments that are due. So essentially, 157 will be completed from an infrastructure improvement standpoint. All the funds have been obligated
Yeah.
for that particular fund.
so those are the kind of details that the council needs to make sure we're informed on
Right.
as we go through this process. There's anything. There was one other question I had on page, this may be our third question. Okay. This page isn't numbered. It's,
Still in the
it's
heading.
13. This is current debt, urban renewal bonds, and it's got all this stuff for JRA, okay? So we've got, JRA has all these properties they oversee that are redevelopment type properties, like the Union Station and other things like that. But they're also parking garages. And one of the important data points for JRA for us to understand is some of these things are supposed to be generating revenue. So we need to know what for JRA we looked at all the bonds and debt, but we need to know what revenue JRA is expected to produce to cover a lot of this debt. So, if you can provide that number at some point, I'd appreciate it.
So, they did not make it to the meeting that was scheduled when we had JPS, JMAA in the library. I believe JRA was to come out. So I think they got rescheduled. I'm not sure when they're coming, but they do have their financials, right, that will show the revenue sources. Right?
Good.
Right.
Come in Friday.
Good. Hopefully they'll cover all their debt costs.
Right.
Thank you.
Mr. Parkinson, do you have 3 more?
Thank you. Just one more. The slide on 14 on long-term debt summary, I understand that we're hopefully going to eliminate that 12, the HUD 108, which I think is great.
Yes. So that's not in. I think what you see there, outstanding 7.2. That's not only HUD. So for HUD, I think what's outstanding is about $2.2 million. That does include a planetarium, right? I
So
just
this
combined
truly
the
is
two.
outstanding.
Pardon?
This $7 million really is outstanding. It's not included in the,
Yeah, so the 7.2 includes about 2.2 of HUD 108. The other portion is a planetarium.
okay,
Yeah.
so we'll have, once we do that, we'll have about five left that we'll have to pay down.
Correct.
Okay, my overall question is from your perspective, is this a healthy long-term debt amount? Should we be paying this off more aggressively, or do you feel comfortable with it?
Yeah, so, and I didn't include a slide. So when you look at your indebtedness, right, as a city, you'll be looking at about 15%, right? The statute allows for your general obligation bond commitments to be about 15%. We have capacity-wise probably over $120 million in bonding capacity that we've not secured. So it's pretty healthy. And then for your overall debt is max at 20%. So we have a lot of capacity there. Now there are certain loans like the $40 million loan that would not count against the 15% because it's a special revenue bond, right? You're pledging other sources of revenue, not your, you're pledging full faith and credit of the city, but you do have that intercept, right? Yes. So yes, this is very healthy. We have a lot of capacity.
Thank you very much.
All right.
We're waiting on Ms. Harris, and then we'll start back. If anybody in here is doing a hearing and you haven't given us a presentation, go ahead and give it to us now before you come up. I mean, a written document. If you just have numbers for the screen, then we probably gonna table you to come back another day. This may seem like we're doing something different, but I do believe that we cannot do anything with numbers that we don't see. If we just take somebody and they come in here and tell us a bunch of numbers, we know nothing for real. So that's why we're going to go to a new procedure, and we're not going to extend anything. What we'll do on the last day of hearings, everybody that didn't have a presentation that was in writing or something to give us other than a slide presentation, they'll come on that day and we'll do them all at one time, and we'll post and make sure everybody has notice of what we're doing. I think it's fair to the council for them to hear some numbers and then not know what they really have. This time we'll have Ms. Harris with the Department of Municipal Clerk.
Good morning, honorable council members. Within my budget presentation, you will find our department's mission, our core values, revenue, streams of revenue. Next page. Next page. The amount of revenue that we received through from the beginning of the fiscal year, which was October 1, 2024, through the end of July 2025. And the only source of revenue that we have not received yet is our July payment for TSA. They normally send it to us within 45 days. In addition to the services that we provide, we do provide free notary services, and we provide free assistance to customers renewing their passports. And also within the slide, you will see our organizational structure, and the next slide, you will see our proposed budget for FY 25-26, which there are no changes. The only increase is for the PERS, that they increase the employers to contribute by 18%, I believe. And I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Okay, I've got the municipal elections. Okay, you got a list here on this page. Look at this one. Department of Municipal Clerk, primary responsibility for the following. So municipal elections, how has your budget changed for upcoming year based on the number of elections you expect to have versus the year we just finished?
When it is a non-election year, that money is not put in my budget. It remains, it goes back to the general fund, to the reserve. And the only thing that I have in there is the salary for the election commissioners under other professional services, and maybe like $2,000 for outside printing.
Is that listed in here somewhere? Is it on page, where would I look for the
Yes.
actual highlight? Budget highlights?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we go down here to municipal elections. Where is the municipal elections on the highlight? Under other services. Okay, so
Yeah.
what did we spend last year on that? Other services.
Yeah, we spent $582,000,
$582,000.
roughly, yes.
Okay, and so you're budgeting for this coming year, because there's no elections unless there's some kind of special election that you don't know about. It's $42,114.
No, that amount would be $52,650.
Well, it says here proposed budget for other services, $42,000. So,
No, if you look at the budget highlights, I just put the total for each division within my department.
Okay.
Like the voter main roll is only $52,650.
So maintain voter roll. All right,
Yes,
so what am I looking at? Okay, the 582 that you spent this year, which item would it be under?
that, if you would,
See, one of the things that really helps me in trying to figure out the budget is this is what we spent in the year that's ending September 30 of 2025. And then you're proposing a budget for September 30 that'll end in 2026. So I like to be able to compare, is it going up or down, whatever. So when I
She said because it was an election year.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm trying to
Okay,
get to that.
so we're
But
gonna-
that doesn't mean you can't
Okay,
compare the numbers.
Okay, well, you want to compare an election year to a non-election
Right,
year?
I do. I want to compare all the different items.
Okay.
Okay, that's how you
Gotcha.
do a budget. That's how I do a budget.
Okay, I just want
So
to
what
make
did we
sure.
spend on groceries last year? We can look and we figure out what we spent on groceries.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure
I know.
there's something special in there that we take under consideration what we're saying. The budget will not look the same. if-
I know that.
Okay,
I know that.
okay, I just want to
I
make
know
sure.
that. I'm just trying to, the process, it's a process, that's all. So anyway, so it's helpful to me to say what we spent last year or this fiscal year, and then look and see what the expectations are for next year. Yes, sir.
So you should have gotten a copy of the full budget. So yeah, even that does have that information. And also, I don't see it print out, but it was emailed to you. Can you hold that one up? Just so that actually shows you what was budgeted
Okay, all
for
right.
25, adopted, revised, actual year to
Yeah.
date, and also prior year.
Okay,
Right, and you'll be able to track that.
okay,
Yes.
that's what but here, now that we've got the municipal clerk here, that's when we need to be able to ask the questions, not when I get back to my email and say, then I may have questions, but Angela's not there. This is just, 101 government, that's all it is. So the back to the budget highlights. So your personal service, let's just go to the top, general fund, personal services. Your proposed is 506,471. What was it for this year?
Okay.
Is
I
it
don't-
is it possible for us to get a copy of that before he asks any more questions, so we can all read it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. In the meantime, let me ask some other questions, unless somebody else wants to ask some questions. You mentioned TSA.
Yes.
Has that worked out like you'd hoped it worked out as far as people, using their services and you getting paid for it?
Yes, sir. It's exceeding our expectations. If you
Good.
go back and look at the totals that I've provided, you can
This page.
see,
This page
There.
right here?
yes, you
Okay.
can see from October to July, we've had 2,410 customers. Those include walk-ins and those that make appointments. And the same thing with passports. As you can see, from October through the end of July, we've had 4,782 customers, not including the customers that we assist for renewals, because we don't collect fees from them, except if we have to take their photo. So we don't track that. That's just a courtesy service that we help them with their renewals, because they are responsible for mailing it off themselves. So, and then as you can see, the revenue that we receive from deposits, those includes cash payments and check and money order payments. And then you'll see the amount of revenue that we receive from them paying via their credit or debit cards.
So the passport credit cards, that's just payments by credit cards, is what it means. And so you've got expenses related to running that office. I remember when we first set this up way back when DeKeither Stamps was still on the council, I think is when we got this set up with do the passports and stuff. Is that not right?
Well, so back in 2018,
Okay.
we got commissions to do
Okay.
passports. So
Okay.
nothing was done. Nothing was done. No setup. There was some equipment ordered. I think it was a printer and a pole for lights that cameras that professional photographers use,
Okay.
which we ended up not using that because it didn't project clearly for pictures. And so that's the only expense that we had, was to order a camera, get the printer, and then maybe twice a year, 2 or 3 times a year, we order film and paper for that copier to be able to print passport photos.
So my question would be, this is great because I got my passports here and it worked out fine. It was very, you did a good job. They did a very professional job. The expense of running the passport office with the folks that work there and the expenses, whatever other expenses, how's the expenses relate to the revenue that we get for passports?
Far less.
Far,
Far less. The expenditures are far less.
Okay.
You know, the clerk that works there, she does the passports as well as other, job duties that's assigned in our office. And so the only expenses that we really have is, like I said, when we have to order passport films for the
Sure.
photos. And of course, we have to pay the postage, but we receive a $35 execution fee. And so the postage that we have to use to mail the passport photos, it comes out of that amount. So we're
Okay.
really not expending a whole lot to operate
Okay.
passports. We're gaining.
So it's
It's an
profitable.
event, it's
So
probable to the city,
okay.
yes.
And so do those same people do the TSA too? How does that work?
Yes, so I have a clerk that's primarily over there, but we do have other clerks that's trained to go over there in the event that she's out. And then I serve as a backup if it's an event that somebody is scheduled to be out, and then the person that's working over there, if she calls out, and to keep us from closing, I would go over there to work.
So is the TSA office somewhere other than the passport office?
Yes, it's next door at the old Central Fire Station. It
Oh,
used
it's
to,
across
yeah,
the way.
right next
Okay.
door, yes.
Okay, so you got one employee that's over there that handles the TSA, and that's where they come in and they pay so they don't have to go through the long line. Is that correct? Is that what that is?
Yes, that's one of the services that we provide. We also provide TWIC cards, which is Transportation Workers Identification Credentials. Most people that get those cards, they're truck drivers, they work offshore, and some people have employers that require them to have a TWIC card because they know that they're being vetted by the Department of Homeland Security.
Really? I didn't know anything about that. Okay. So that ends up being profitable as well? Cover
Yes.
your expenses, cover your revenues, cover your expenses?
We have no expenses for that facility. All the supplies that we need, we order it from them, and they supply us with the supplies that we need. Only
just
thing
have
that we
the-
have is the staff.
The cost of the staff.
Yes,
Okay. Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Just for clarification, you did say when they renew their passport, is that added in this budget? That's not. Okay, thank you.
No, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you. And thank you so much. I'm not sure if this should be a question for Ms. Harris or Mr. Mellenbach. Okay. How does this compare to this? These appear to be different numbers if I'm reading correctly, but maybe I'm not reading it correctly.
So the budget highlight that you see, those were numbers that was taken off of my budget that was sent to me. And this summary that the finance department did, I just received it today, so I have not done a comparison. But the budget highlights was based upon the numbers from my budget that I received.
Yeah, so, and I don't know how much the difference is, and also the dates, that's correct. The budget manager did update numbers, I think, through yesterday when they're printing out the documents. And so it's possible. What's the date on yours? Are you using that one from your meeting? The bottom?
The 20th, August the 20th.
Okay.
Oh, you're looking at yeah, I saw that, yeah. Right, yeah, 555.
It's the same.
Okay. The money to pay for the election. Where's it? The city had to pay for all that stuff?
Yes.
But that's just because it's a city election.
Right.
When they have the federal elections, who pays for it?
Yeah. So, but we don't. We don't. So we have a year to. So the cost to her just for the election, running with the commissioners, It's about 54,000. That's what your budget's.
Okay.
Right. And then all other expenses are covered, I think the county covers.
Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, okay, thank you, thank you.
One thing that we're gonna do after this budget, because we're rushing to do this budget on September 10th. We're gonna learn the accounting system that the city uses, okay? Because when you see a negative number, it's really a positive number. And when you add them together, it equals 100%. So we all need to be educated on what we're doing. So it does look like we don't know what we're doing today, but we all are gonna know by the 10th.
Thank you. So overall, you're proposing level funding. Well, not even balanced, but you're same as last year or less than last year because of the elections.
Yes.
So you mentioned PERS has a slight increase, but still because the elections and other things are happening, overall, you're proposing a decrease from our budget last year, and it is a balanced budget. Both those things are true. Thank you.
Yes.
That's why I keep saying we need to get these papers before we come in here and sit in here and work through it. This should not be a work session for us to work through little things like we're going through. We should be working through real numbers and listening to what's going on. And I appreciate everybody, and I'm new to the council, so I've never done the budget before, but I can see the flaws in what we're doing. And we're gonna correct them by next year. I mean, that's.
Just by next year, wait.
September 10th is the date that we have to have everything done. If we want to correct them this year, we can do it, but we won't have any more hearings this week. They'll be next week, and we'll have 10 days to work on it.
You
So
don't have
let's,
any more hearings this week?
no, we will. I'm saying if we want to correct everything and before we do it, we can do that. If that's what you're saying you want to do, there's no problem with me. But we won't have any more hearings because we know how they are put together. So we got 2 days, so we might as well work our way through it and bear with it. Any more questions? Thank you, Ms. Harris.
Thank you all.
Legal. Ms.
That's new. Where did that come from?
Ready whenever you are.
I'm ready. I'm sorry. Drew Martin, City Attorney. What the council clerk has provided you is the same thing that was provided to me yesterday evening. There are some handwritten notes on it from me as well, and I'll explain what those are. I did want to say, because we have several new council members, what our office is. The city attorney's office is about 30 employees total. We have several divisions. People just see a few of us that come to council meetings and don't see everything we do. Risk management falls under the city attorney's office. There's 6 employees there. They manage the day-to-day claims that come in for the city. They manage the insurance policies the city procures and is benefits from workers' comp insurance, for example. You'll see the property insurance premiums fall under our budget as well. That's a number we don't have any control over, right? So it makes it sort of inflates what it looks like our budget really is. After risk management, the prosecutor's office is also under the city attorney's office. You don't see the prosecutors over here very often, but we have a chief prosecutor. We have a full-time city attorney who works with the prosecutor's office as well, and a part-time who we think needs to become full-time, but we're not asking for any money for that. We're working on that on our own. And then within our building, we have basically two divisions. We have the litigation division and we have the transactions division. Ms. Moncur, who's here behind me, is our special assistant over transactions. You'll see her at almost every council meeting. The transactions attorneys, for lack of a better phrase, are our in-house counsel. So every transactions attorney is appointed to one or more departments. Their job is to answer every phone call, every question, every email that comes in from those departments, and to prepare every council agenda item that you see from those departments as well. They help prepare them, they review them, and Ms. Moncur in particular, by the way, ends up reviewing every single one of those from every single department before it comes to me, and then I review them as well. Separate from that, we have our litigation division. Jason Neighbors is currently our special assistant there. Some of you have met Jason. He's been over here at a few meetings. Whenever there's a litigation item on the council agenda, he comes over. We have 6 attorneys in transactions, 6 in litigation, 6 in risk management, and then we also have about 6 staff members that are separated out over the department as a whole. That includes secretaries, administrative assistants, office coordinators, et cetera. So that's the big picture overview of what the city attorney's office actually is. I've made a note on here. This is really just for me, but since y'all all have copies of it, I might as well explain what my notes are. It's either on the last page or next to the last page, and my math is off on one of them. But what I wrote in there was if you look at our total budget, it comes out to about $11.7 million. But what I wanted to do was pull some things out of that so you could see it. Workers' comp of that is about a $2.7 million line item. The state, well, let me skip that one. The other insurance, about a $2.4 million line item. And the state tort claims fund is also about a $2 million line item. I point that one out because that's a statutorily required amount of money because we're self-insured, right? We don't have liability coverage. When somebody has a car accident, a pothole accident, so whatever happens, the things that we come to you and ask you for money and to recommend that we pay, that's our insurance. You know, it's the city fund. And so there's a state statute with a formula that requires what goes into that amount. And that's why, and that's based on the actual claims that are being made at that time against the city. I can't tell you the formula as we sit here, but I can tell you that MAC and risk management take care of that, and that has to stay the way it is. So those are numbers that we don't have any control over, and while they're under our budget, there's no discretion there. So I wanted everybody to be aware of that. The rest of it then is things we do have some control over. It's mostly salaries. We have asked for no increase over last year. We have moved a few categories around. Councilman Foote, you were asking to compare numbers to numbers. You'll be able to see them on this chart, actually. You'll be able to see 2024 compared to 2025, and you can see where there's changes. Well, it's on every page of this chart. So on this chart, it's got the column at the top that's 2024, and then it follows that with 2025. So you get a pretty good view of what, if anything, has changed. None of them are substantial changes. I've made a point since I've been city attorney of moving some money to make it better possible for our attorneys to participate in their continuing legal education, participate in memberships, go to conferences, that kind of thing. We don't go to California. We don't do anything extravagant. We're talking about in Mississippi. I think I went to Washington for one conference last year. Otherwise, they're all around here. But to me, that was important. We can't pay the attorneys what they need to be paid, but we can provide them some of those sorts of benefits. And so I've stressed that. Last year, I came asking for money for salaries because we were so far behind. We're still behind, but we're not asking for more this year. We're working on that on our own. I also asked for 2 additional slots last year for attorney positions, which the council gave. We're not asking for anything like that this year either. Because of various things between elections and hiring freezes and so forth, it took us until, frankly, about a week ago to finally fill all those slots. I introduced 2 new attorneys to you at a council meeting about a month ago, and we had 2 more that started this week, but because of everything going on yesterday, we decided we'd wait and introduce them later. But in any event, we finally filled those slots, and we're pleased with that, and we appreciate it. The only other thing I'll mention, this is not in the budget because we have a flat budget, but I want to remind the council, because some of the council members were here and some weren't, our building that we are in, we're not asking for money for this either, I'm just making you aware of it. Our building is unusable for any practical purpose. No law firm should be in it. No city department should be in it. We have papers that are flooded. We have mildew. We have no air conditioning in my office. My temperature in my particular office averages about 84 degrees, 85 degrees currently. I love my work, but I hate coming to my job right now. We have to fix that. But we don't have any money, so we're not asking. I got permission from the council last year by a straw poll to negotiate a lease. I have it ready. We're ready to go as soon as the money is available, and we're going to try to find it in the budget we have. There's about $60,000 we spend annually just to be in the building that we're in. So when I tell you later that we're moving and we'll have a lease, we'll be able to take that $60,000, our power bill, our water bill, our maintenance, and those will be wiped out. We can put that against our lease payments. We'll need about 60 to 70,000 more to pay that lease. It's a great deal. It's a great building. It's a great space. You'll hear more about that later. And we're working to get there. But anyway, that's it for us. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If we know it's in that condition, why don't we look at, as a council, finding you $60,000 or $70,000?
I think that would be great. I've been asked not to ask, so I'm not asking. But I think that would be great.
I think nobody should work in conditions that are not.
I agree. They should not.
And that's what I said with the police department.
That's
so
right.
we will make that a priority
No, I appreciate
to
that.
find 70,000.
So actually, we'll be able to make it work within their budget. There's some flexibility, so you don't have to do anything extra. Yeah.
We're trying. The city did own the building. It conveyed it to JRA several years ago. JRA owns the building and the parking garage that sits on top of the building. By the way, is part of the problem. There's an engineer's report that says that parking garage is not stable, and we have things that literally fall at times in our conference room because of the rumblings that go across. If you've been to our office, you've heard this and you've felt it. But the answer is JRA owns it. By the way, side note, I also have a business deal on the table with somebody locally who has bought a lot of property in downtown Jackson, who wants to lease that building and lease that parking garage at no expense to the city. He's going to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in it, but so far we haven't been able to make that work either because JRA is against it. I'm not supposed to. It would be JRA that would need to agree to it, or the city would need to do something to take the property back in some form or fashion.
So you don't have a line item for rent?
I do not.
I'm going to ask the first one today. Excuse me. I have a question. Do you have a line item for continuing ed?
Yes. It's memberships really is what it falls under. And if you give me 1 second, I'll find it for you. It's about $50,000 now.
Would you like for us to look at that? I
It's
mean, I know
$46,000.
I know we're supposed to be looking at things with no increase, but at some point we need to start in the city looking at things that make sense for everybody in the city so we can grow the city.
Sure.
And not, okay.
Excuse me. Have you all looked at the 633 building that some of our offices are already in?
We
And
have.
empty spaces in there?
We have, and there is some space that we probably could use in there. The space I have located, for what it's worth, is nicer. It's been redone very recently. It has another law firm that is already in it that is ready to move out of it, and I'm going to get it for cheaper than we pay at 633.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, you first.
All right, thank you. The couple of different questions here. We pay this money for insurance, state tort claim, the workers' comp.
Yes, sir.
And there's another line. I'm just looking at your notes.
Sure.
Other insurance, 2.4 million. And then we have claims that come in when somebody hits a pothole and blows up their tire or whatever. When that claim comes in, is it covered by the insurance company that we've got the insurance with?
No,
How does that work?
we don't have liability insurance. So those
Okay.
claims that come in that are what we call typical torts, whether it's a pothole claim, whether it's a motor vehicle accident, those are paid out of that fund.
So we annually set aside this money, for the tort, 2.0 million. And so when somebody comes and says they ran into a sinkhole and, messed up their car, that's where the money would come
That's right.
from. So,
That's right.
but
The amount that's funded varies a little bit depending on the historic claims and so forth. But yes, that's the way that's.
Can you, for my own benefit and others, what is the process who handles the process if somebody sends a claim in for damaging their tire, tires from hitting a pothole?
Sure. So a typical claim is routed to our risk management division. They have forms that they help people fill out. We have risk management investigators that then will make phone calls. Sometimes it's simple as a couple calls. Sometimes it's a matter of asking the claimant, send us your garage receipt, send us your car receipt, whatever. Sometimes it's a matter of going out, finding the pothole, seeing if we had notice of it. We check 311 records to see, because there's various notice things that come that way. But ultimately, they make a recommendation. If the recommendation is to pay or not pay for a claim that's less than about $1,000, then risk management can make that decision. They have the authority to make that decision. If it gets up to $3,500, it comes over to our office, and we can make it up to that. Anything over that ultimately will come to each of you.
Over 3,500?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when, let's say I have a client, a constituent calls up, says, hey, I blew up my tire here, this pothole is terrible, blah, 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 blah. I send them to risk management.
Matt Pouillard in risk management will take that call or assign it to somebody. Yes, sir.
Thank you, that's helpful. How much did we pay? Do you have any data on how much, say, last year, the tort claims, if we put aside $2 million, did it all get paid out?
Oh, no, not anywhere near that. I don't have that number with me, but we do keep track of what's paid out, and we can find that. We only had one pretty large one in the last year. The others are much smaller payments that they add up, but they didn't add up to $2 million.
So my follow-up would be, what happens to the money if we don't, if you had $2 million in there, you went through the year, and this might be a question for Mr. Malmaga, and at the end of the year, we'd only paid out 1.4, and there's $600,000 left. Do we just keep that money and put another 1.4 million in?
Short answer is yes, but I think it's basically, but Fidelis can answer that.
Yeah, so what's unspent from general fund goes back to fund balance. And then again, that's how you don't say you had 500,000 and then you add another 500,000. You essentially budget for the same thing. So in that report that you have, you can look at year to date for claims.
On the same page?
Let me see. What page?
It says the actual for 2024 was 595,000. Maybe I'm looking the wrong line.
Yeah, right here, right. So here, that's total. Right, so here is your year to date.
So year to date, we've paid out 383,000. Oh, is that the line that's got $2 million?
I didn't know that was on this chart, but that is correct. That should be correct.
So that's through, what period is this? What?
This was printed yesterday.
Okay. 26. Okay. Well, good. I'm not that up to speed on some of the processes that go through and that y'all operate in. Some other questions I've got is how many attorneys you have right now, and and do you have all your slots filled? And
I have 15 attorneys, maybe 16 attorneys with the new ones that just started. We actually have a slot or two available, but we're holding off on those while we haven't had this many in a while, and so we want to see how it works with what we have. We're not going to hire people just to hire them.
What's your normal turnover during the course of a year?
I don't know there is a normal. So what I will tell you is, from having worked in the office before being city attorney, from the day I started working with the city, which was in 22, not long ago, to today, there are only, including myself and Ms. Moncher, there's probably 5 or 6 lawyers that are still there from then, and the rest has been turned over entirely. We've been pretty aggressive at trying to recruit over the last year especially, and we've added about 6, 7 attorneys during that time period. No, we had some leave. We had several leave, obviously.
I would think you would have a pretty healthy turnover just because the pay isn't as high as it is in the private sector.
That tends to be the case, honestly. Okay. Yes. It's tough to retain after a certain point. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for all that you do. Question, you mentioned that you have sort of basically, I think you referred to it as sort of in-house counsel. A department like planning, do they have one designated person that will work with planning?
So planning is probably the worst example because they're different than everybody else. So let me say it this way. Every department has an attorney that they know is assigned to them and they know to call that attorney. Planning, to answer your specific question, we split it up a little bit because there's several different things. So for example, there's community improvement hearings every week or two. We have one attorney that's assigned to just that part of community, to planning. We have another attorney that might look at certain policy type and ordinance things that come in. But from a day-to-day operations, the answer is yes. There's an attorney they know to call for every question.
This might be included in the community piece that you're referring to, but regularly as part of our consent agenda, we'll have a list of several dozen properties that we're declaring a public menace. Does your office have to review every single one of those? We
do, and in fact, so the way those are presented, and that is the community improvement section, those come through planning first. There is a administrative hearing that occurs in municipal court. We have an attorney there, along with the code enforcement people that are there for planning. From those, that's what comes to the council then to approve of those, so to speak. But yes, we then review and prepare and review each of those orders. They're going to come to you about that. And I will say, just it's a good chance to say it, we think there's some cost savings that we can get for the city on those. It looks like over the last recent times, I'll just say it that way, that maybe the city hasn't been as aggressive as it can be on recouping some of those expenses. So we've been actively putting together some plans for that. And I think you'll see that in the next 30, 60 days or so, we'll start to be able to roll those out.
Is that via lien?
It's via liens, it's via tax assessments, it's via, there's even some avenues to force sales of property to fund the payments depending on what was done. So not every tool should be used for every case, but there's about 3 different options available, and we're not consistently pursuing any of them as best as I can tell.
Well, that's great. And I think the reason I'm asking this is, and I appreciate that we're not increasing the budget. We don't want any more people. Listen,
we want more.
My question is, we've all said eliminating blight is a massive priority for us. The one person that you have doing that role, is that a reasonable workload that person can handle? Are we experiencing any backlogs? If that's the logjam and we need more funds allocated there, then please tell us.
No, I think where you should look for that is actually within planning. Our job on that is lesser than what they're doing on it. And our attorney, at any given time, the attorney that's assigned to that's not their only job. That's a small part of what other tasks they do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got another question. Can I ask another question?
Go ahead.
This is just an item here on the front page.
Yes, sir.
Off to the right, you have a note, consent decree.
Oh, sure. So that's my other notes you'll see on this, and I'll just take you from page one at a time. There's only a couple of notes on each page. So the other when you look at our budget for what are the big numbers that are in there, it's for the cases where the city had decided to hire outside counsel for certain things. Frankly, I think with all but maybe one of these, this was done before I was city attorney. I haven't recommended getting rid of any of them because I don't think we should, but we're handling them differently today than we did back then. But to look at those items, page 1, I have consent decree written out to the side. That's a $160,000 line item there. That pays for consultations and outside counsel help with negotiations and issues that revolve around the sewer water consent decree.
So now that Jackson Water oversees the sewer system, that's where the consent, my understanding is the consent.
That's right. That's where the consent decree is.
So do you get involved in that at all?
Yes. So we have, we're there for every hearing. I have a call this afternoon with the Department of Justice and the EPA. I wouldn't say I have a weekly call, but several times a month that we're working on this. Remember that the ultimate goal was not to watch somebody else control our sewer and water system. It's to get that control back in whatever form that takes. And so that we're in active talks about that monthly. And that will actually probably ramp up significantly more this fiscal year.
But this expense item would just be for the outside counsel.
It is. So we have 2, although one we've let expire. We have an outside counsel who participates in all of these calls with us that helps the communications with the Washington people in particular, the EPA and DOJ people, and that has extensive experience with Atlanta's water system when it went through similar situations. So she's been a real resource for us.
Now, is it the Atlanta office of the EPA we interface with on that?
Well, it's usually Washington, to be honest. We've got some local people and regional people, but it's usually the Washington people. Yes.
Thank you.
To go through those, I was going to go through them. There's another page. It's on page 5, and the numbers are in the bottom right-hand corner of your document. You'll see there's about a $240,000 item there. That's to pay for the city's public defender service. They charge us. It's several attorneys, not one attorney. Tim Howard, who's a former city attorney, runs this business. The city's contract with them. They provide public defender services at every municipal court hearing for us. It's about $20,000 a month. On page 6, the item there you see, well, I can't read my own notes. Oh, this is our lobbyist line. I'm sorry. So that comes under we don't choose the lobbyists and we don't negotiate the pay, frankly, but it falls under our budget. So this is our federal and state lobbyists are paid out of that
The
fund.
lobbyist is under the city legal?
Well,
I did not realize
the
that.
budget is, but we
budget
don't
item?
control, and I do communicate with them, but not primarily. That's right. But that's a line item under our budget. And I think that covers them. There is an item, I guess, I thought I'd written it on here. I don't see it right now, but our annexation case, we've been talking about so much recently, our outside counsel, there's a separate line item here that's a pretty large item. Okay, good. I just didn't see it when I wrote back through it. Okay, well, good. Well, you'll see those notes then. Gotcha.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Following up to Councilman Foote's question on consent decree, I believe the stipulated order does require at a certain point for Jackson Water.
So beginning in, if I'm answering the wrong question because I'm cutting you off, tell me, but beginning in October of this year, according to the consent decree itself, Jackson Water is required to contribute towards payment for services of that sort. And it's an amount that exceeds what we spend on it. So we will be pursuing that. Yeah. I think that starts October 1st. Yeah.
Anything else?
By the way, I suspect they will try not to pay that, but no, I don't have anything else unless there's questions.
Oh, I got you. So try. One more question. I know sometimes you'll come in and you'll brief us in an executive session
Yes,
on ongoing litigation.
Sure.
So how many cases do we have in ongoing litigation?
Approximately 130.
130.
Yeah. We're defending about 130 cases right now. Yes.
Is that normal? Is that about the usual?
Yes. The short answer is yes. We keep thinking we can get it under 100, and we've had 12 dismissed in the last, say, 3 weeks. But what we can't control is how many get filed.
So what is the rollover? What's the normal life of a case of the?
There's not one, honestly. It depends on the type of case. A typical state tort case, even then, I'm not sure there's typical, because often the first question is, are we liable, right? And sometimes that's an easy find, unfortunately, but often it's not. I'd say real ballpark on a state case, you're going to see anywhere from 8 months to 2 years and that's broad range, but that's pretty typical.
Thank you. Appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Behind the scenes too, the one stuff that we don't hear about.
Okay, we're waiting. We may have one other presenter, but we'll follow.
May I be dismissed?
Thank you, and we will look at ways to do different things. So where we get the money from?
Who are we waiting for now? This?
Okay, this was a grant last year, but if it's not a grant this year, we want to know where the money is coming from before she presents.
Keisha Coleman, remember her name.
You see what I'm saying?
Is it, so,
Okay, if there are no other questions, this meeting is adjourned, and our next meeting will be on tomorrow at 4:00.
what's that?
4:00 tomorrow, we have Parks and Recreation, Human and Cultural Services, Planning and Development, Human Resources, IT, Information Technology, and Chief Administrative Office.
Madam Chair, will we hear from I thought communications was on the agenda.
No. What'd you say?
Are we hearing from communications today? I thought they were listed on our agenda.
They're not here,
No.
so no.
And Councilwoman Clay, everyone that did not present today, mayor's office, administration, communications, will they be able to go tomorrow?
We gonna talk. If they go tomorrow, we may come earlier.
Okay,
Well,
so,
you'll have to post that though.
yeah,
So,
we still have a little time, to get it posted if we, maybe
Right.
2:00.
2:00.
We'll talk off, okay.